Hi there and welcome to this episode where we're going to look at satin stitch. And to start this stitch we're going to use one strand of embroidery floss, and I'm going to use a casting on stitch in the centre. And if you saw the fishbone stitch episode, you'll remember that to do this we do two tiny stitches somewhere in the centre of our work that's going to be covered up later on. Now with this example of satin stitch, I'm actually going to sew a border around the edge because this will help me to achieve some nice straight lines and some clean edges. So to create my border, I'm going to use a back stitch and I'm going to work all the way around this blue marker point, just in a simple back stitch as we saw in the second episode, as I say, to give me a nice solid guide and outline. I don't always use a border when I'm creating a satin stitch. It kind of depends on the shape I'm looking to create, but as I say, because we've got some really clean edges here that we're looking for, I find that it helps me to give a good guide. Now my back stitch is complete, the next step is for me to give some guidelines across the main body of my work, and these guidelines help to make sure that my satin stitches always go in the same direction. So I'm going to just do a few of these straight stitches from bottom to top, working from the left to the right until I have completed the area I want to infill. I'm then going to move backwards and forwards across this shape, infilling in between my guidelines, and this will slowly, bit by bit, infill the entire shape and you'll have a lovely smooth satin stitch. As I mentioned, I'm using just one strand for this satin stitch, and you can use anything between that and all 6 strands. If you're using all 6 strands, you just have to make sure that the strands are not twisted around themselves too much, otherwise you won't get that really smooth satiny look. With one strand we don't have to worry about that, but it is more time consuming. It does take a lot longer to infill the shape. So let's speed things up a bit. So I'm coming now to my last few stitches, just filling in the last edge of this rectangle. And one thing to note as I move through this shape, I sometimes sew from bottom to top and I sometimes sew from top to bottom. I find that if you always pull your stitches in the same direction, they almost create a dragging effect, and you can find that one side of your shape, or the rectangle in this case, could droop if I was always going from one direction to the other. So I do try to mix things up a bit there just to make it really even, and as I say, just to achieve that really neat straight edge border. So there we go, satin stitch complete.